car's performance is looking strong compared to our rivals at the moment. Check it out, and we'll review it in more detail later.
What's going on, guys? Ira here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 67 today for the Canadian Grand Prix. And what can I say? The good news just keeps on rolling with Chris, and he's even complimenting us now. I think putting on that Red Bull top has really, he's changed as a person. He's actually like, that's physically changed him inside. He's a different man, and he's now all positive, and we're going to be positive because we have had a really good consistent streak now. And if you did miss the last episode, episode number 66 of the Monaco Grand Prix, be sure to go check that one out. A very, very sloppy and messy, chaotic Monaco Grand Prix. And after that, we are leading the World Championship. And we've got a nice little cushion, and we're just playing it very, very nicely. I mean, we haven't even won a race yet in this season, and we're leading the championship. So consistency has been key, and the positivity has been pretty damn high. Even this man, Daniel Ricciardo, has been performing well. Of course, the last two episodes, we've got double podiums for the Red Bull guys. So as a unit as well, we're performing very well now. You know, Ricciardo's finally pulling his weight. So I can't really complain going to this episode. So really high spirits going to the Canadian Grand Prix, which, if you remember, obviously if you've been watching the series since the start, we've won 2 out of 3 of the Canadian Grand Prix we have entered on the F1 2017 career mode, those 2 being the Season 2 and Season 3 races, both in the Renault car. So let's see if we can make it 3 out of 4. That would be quite nice, and we'll see how it goes. Practice went all fine, trying to earn as many points as we can, and then we go into Q1, which was a little bit nerve-wracking, actually, going to the hairpin, as we have to try and overtake a McLaren car then. So that was a little bit unnerving. I thought I may have lost way too much time making that move on the McLaren to maybe not even making it to Q2 in terms of on the first flying lap. Eventually, though, it was fine. Actually, you can see we actually went fast in that session. No one really turning up the wick too much, and a few people running on super soft tyres, including our rival Sebastian Vettel. So that was all fine, actually. That was just kind of me being a little bit too worried about that into the hairpin. And then we move into Q2, which is going to be our usual strategy. I say usual, and Red Bull maybe not our usual strategy, but our strategy that we've run a few times now over the course of the career mode, which is setting the lap time in Q2 on the second fastest tyre. So obviously this time being the super soft tyres at the Canadian Grand Prix, with the ultra softs being the fastest available. And we come across the line for a very decent lap time, and you can see at the end of the session we're actually second place. So very, very decent pace. Although, as per usual, I still maintain the fact that I think Ferrari and the Mercedes, at least AI cars, don't really turn up their engines to full max power until Q3, because their times always significantly improve going to Q3. Although that may just be the track evolution, of course, on the circuit as we go pound round. But you can see in Q3 it's actually overcast, way more overcast than it was in Q2. You can see that sheen is starting to come on the track, and that's actually because there's going to be some rain right at the end of this session. So we have gone out very, very early in the session than I usually would do. You can see Perez taking the fast lap of the session so far, so not many people have set lap times, and now we come through the chicane. Only 5 people have set a time yet. Now 6, as Vettel goes fastest there, so he's on pole position, provisional pole at the moment, I should say. As we come across the line, it's going to be P2, so we are unable to pip him to pole there. And as we go through the session then, in the dying stage, you can see people out, but you can see little spits of rain, hopefully on that screen. But I definitely did so as I kind of winded through for the last couple of minutes, really, and watched everyone take their lap times then. And so the rain coming down, no one really improved on their second flying lap, so it ends up being the front row for us then, second place alongside our main rival Sebastian Vettel, in 2 different senses. Of course, in the game, he's our rival in terms of the rivalry you have every single race, and of course in a grander sense, obviously he was our championship rival last season and still probably ebbing into this season. And our former teammate Nico Hülkenberg in 3rd place, which is absolutely crazy and really great to see for his sake and the Renault's sake, and actually plays into the championship, because I think Hülkenberg is in, I think, 2nd or 3rd in the championship. I think Vettel's then 3rd or 2nd, whichever way around they are. So all 3 of us in the top 3 in the qualifying, because that's what you want to see really in the championship. So good to see. And Ricciardo was a little bit down on my time, but still in 5th place, I think that was. So all in all, can't complain too much. Overcast skies at the moment in this race, so I think there may be a forecast for some rain at the end of this race, just like was the case in Saturday. So that's going to be another span that works. But from 2nd place, we're looking pretty damn handy to maybe go for that 3rd out of 4th Canadian Grand Prix win. So let's go to the full grid, and then we'll see how things pan out.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion, and a Red Bull alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton and Raikkonen, Ocon, Hülkenberg, Perez and Jolyon Palmer, Grosjean, Kvyat, Carlos Sainz and Massa, Magnussen, Stroll, Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn, Wehrlein, and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So thankfully for everyone's sake in the top flight of things, there's no engine penalties to speak about then from the grid sequence. We can move ahead to the race strategy. You can see there is that icon of rain that is due at the end of the race. Now you can see it's only one icon and it's actually not right at the end, which has been the case many times before. There's actually a period of just overcast dry period at the end. So that's going to be intriguing to see how much rain that actually means then. Is it going to be enough rain to go into Inters? Is it not? Are we all going to be skating across on slicks? We'll have to really see it to stab into the unknown in that way. And because of that, I'm actually going for 2 sets of super softs to potentially open myself up then to going onto Inters straight away, or potentially taking those second set of super softs through that period of rain to the end of the race. So we'll have to see how it goes. But as I said, there really is no way to tell what's going to be the right way. It is definitely a stab into the dark, but that's what's going to make this Canadian Grand Prix very exciting indeed as we go to 5 red lights then for round number 7 of Season 4, and we're underway, and it is a pretty poor start actually compared to Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas. He's moved to the left-hand side. I've locked up, double lock up indeed, as I try to avoid the back end of Vettel. We nearly plowed into him there into turn 1, and so Bottas has managed to get around the outside. We're stuck kind of just floundering a little bit, trying to catch the rear end of the Red Bull to keep it in P3. Ricciardo's made a good start. He's up into P4. He's overtaken Kimi Räikkönen then, and Hamilton's had a piss poor start, and he finds himself behind Kimi as we close up a little bit in the brake zone into the end of Sector 1 on Bottas. But you can see Ricciardo actually closes up even more to my rear end, so we'll have to see how this pans out as we move into the end of lap 2, into the hairpin as we enter Sector 3, closing up on Bottas. Then a little bit of a lock up on the left front, but we have rich mix to play with now, and down this main straight, no DRS but pure slipstream, and let's see how good this Red Bull is going to work out here. We've got pretty low wings, I think 4.4 or maybe 5.5. I'm running on this setup here, just what we did last season with the Renault, so pretty good straight line speed once we get into slipstream. Obviously without the slipstream, maybe a different story compared to the Mercedes powered car, but with slipstream definitely working out as we get hampered a little bit. I tried to make the move on the left hand side. Bottas was having none of it then, and he just did not budge, and I really thought he would have given me some room then, but no. I mean, fair play, he can do that because I didn't have my nose side by side with him, but I just assumed he may have given me the room there on the left rather than on the right, but no. So we have to wait till lap 3 then to make the move with DRS this time, cleanly around the outside of him even before we get into the chicane then. So good to see actually, to be fair to Bottas, nice and punchy, and just you know, didn't give up the fight very easily on lap 2, and so I have to be patient and wait till lap 3 then. But we're up into P2 then. Vettel's still leading this way, so now can we try erode the lead he has? Not at the moment, as the virtual safety car is called out then, and it was for this incident. It was yellow flags behind us as soon as we overtook Bottas, so this is what went on into the final chicane then. Oh, Kimi's round, and Hamilton has just slammed into the wall of champions then, and then there's been a huge domino effect of a lot of cars being affected by where Hamilton's parked up then, and so that was very odd. So Hamilton and Raikkonen had separate incidents. Hamilton just looked like he just drove into the wall due to, I don't know, looking to the left of him to see what on earth was going on with Raikkonen. So it was this Hulkenberg down the inside of Raikkonen to overtake him, and Kimi just goes over the curbing. Very unfortunate racing incident there for Kimi and Hulkenberg, as Kimi just took way too much curbing on the left, and that actually meant he was still alongside Hulkenberg, and their wheels interlocked, and he just got spun round in very classic kind of AI motion like we've seen before. We've seen many of those incidents in the past, but that was very odd. Hamilton's one was just completely separate, and it just looked like he just drove into the wall, really. So yeah, odd one then. So the virtual safety car's back in then, and the man who was on the move previously and overtook Raikkonen now is fancying himself against Daniel Ricciardo. He can't close up quite enough in the brake zone of the last chicane, but now going on to the main straight, he's tucked up in the slipstream of the Australian. Here he goes to the outside, then Ricciardo defends to the inside. It's not going to be any use though, because Hulkenberg has a fantastic entry into turn 1, carries the momentum through to kind of squeeze Ricciardo out into turn 2 then on the exit, and he's up the place, and now he'll go chasing after Valtteri Bottas. So that will be Hulkenberg up into P4 and Ricciardo down to P5. So Nico doing well, and obviously he must have then been overtaken actually then previously by Ricciardo, because he was in this position beforehand, before the virtual safety car. But now there we go on to the next lap then, around the outside of Bottas. So Hulkenberg and that Renault, really good pace at the moment, good straight line speed as we've seen before in a few races before. Obviously the upgrades I did to that car last season with the drag reduction and chassis weight reduction clearly working a treat. But moving back to our POV then, onto lap 7, the sun is starting to come out, and Vettel goes defensive to the inside as we have closed up to him. Unable, though, to make anything happen into the chicane, but we get a tidy enough exit. We'll open DRS, Rich Mix flowing, and we'll go fake to the left, go to the right-hand side then, and confuse Vettel a little bit. He goes defensive to the inside of turn 1. Can we try a move like Hulkenberg did? We'll try our best into turn 2, trying to go wide to squeeze Vettel out, but he's having none of it. We bang tyres, he's half on the grass then, and no love lost between myself and Sebastian Vettel then into the first chicane. Vettel round the outside, he's going to have the better line, and he does so. We have to lift out of that, and we have to back down for P2, but then to the end of sector 1, we've got more slipstream, more momentum to the inside, and we'll try it again to the outside. Doesn't work out. Switchback move effectively on the racing line, and we cut across him, and we're back up into P1 then. And now look at that, Hulkenberg is trying to move now. Nico up into P2, fantastic stuff. The German's overtaken his fellow countrymen, and now it's a 1-2 for, well, previous teammate. Myself now in P1, Nico Hulkenberg, fantastic stuff, up into P2, and Vettel now is in P3 and has to defend from Valtteri Bottas. But look at this shot. We've got 4 different teams in the same camera shot then. The Red Bull, Renault, Ferrari, and then the Mercedes car. Absolutely fantastic stuff to see. But now we move on to lap 9. Vettel closing in quite rapidly. I go defensive to the inside, but he actually comes into the pit lane then, and as he does so, I think he grazed the left-hand side of my car as there's a warning for a collision then. But I was fully prepared to go very slow into the chicane to defend from Vettel and try and give him some room, and then he just shoots off on the left then, so that was a little bit off-putting. But we move now swiftly onto the next lap then, lap 10, and onto the back straight we've got Valtteri Bottas now fancying himself to the left-hand side. Potentially we actually stick to the left-hand side. He's going to go to the inside now, and I've done that for a reason, because we break a little bit earlier. We're going to cut in nice and tight to the chicane, get a much better exit then. He goes at the bumping then and nearly slams into the wall of champions, and so we're able to re-overtake him very easily back up into P1. So playing it very tactically there, and we're back up into the lead of this Grand Prix. Ocon then doing a fabulous job in P3, that'll be. But then we move later to lap 14. Now it's Hulkenberg in P2 and Vettel in P3. So all order has been resumed then. Obviously, the guys behind me pitting. Now we come in for our first pit stop of the afternoon, and you would have seen eagle-eyed viewers on the heads-up display. I actually changed the tyres to a set of soft tyres. Now, the reason why I've done this is because looking ahead at the race, the way it's going, I think trying to pull off a one-stop on dry tyres is going to be the way to go. In terms of if there wasn't any rain coming, the one-stop would be much better. This strategy would be the better one, to be on soft tyres, go to the end of the race, and then even with the rain, it gives me the potential to maybe gamble. If the rain isn't coming down hard enough, I can just go to the end on these soft tyres, and if not, then I just come into the pits like normal anyway. But we come out just ahead of Ricciardo side by side, and we actually get overtaken by Ricciardo. He actually sticks it to the inside of the first chicane, and he's able to do it then. So I thought I really would have had it around the outside then, but fantastic stuff from Ricciardo to keep it in, and he's up into P5. So that was a little bit close, and clearly I've lost a bit of time then in the pit stop phases, and staying out a little bit longer on super soft hasn't done me any good. And now as we move on later into the Grand Prix, a lead change this will be. Sebastian Vettel then re-overtakes Nico Hulkenberg for the lead of the Grand Prix up into P1. Nico in P2, but you can see he's actually not too far behind even after the overtake's done. So I wouldn't, wouldn't put it past Nico to maybe come back at his fellow German. But now we move on back to our fight. We're chasing after Ricciardo, who is equally chasing after Valtteri Bottas, and going down to the hairpin. I think he fancies the move to the outside. Then it will go, and it'll outbrake Bottas, and here we come steaming in as well. So watch this now, fantastic stuff. Ricciardo cleanly round the outside. A little bit of contact's going to be made on the exit then, as Bottas is shoved onto the grass a little bit with his rear right tyre, and they still go toe-to-toe. Of course, the Mercedes engine will come back in and play a part to keep him alongside Ricciardo, but Ricciardo just about has it. I tried to make a dive move to the inside, doesn't work out. Ricciardo will enter the chicane first, and then Bottas, and we make a bit of a swing back on the chicane on the exit to overtake, try and overtake both cars indeed, but it looks like we may just have to try and overtake Bottas. But because Ricciardo's defended us and blocked our line, he's actually effectively stopped us from overtaking Bottas, and Bottas has still managed to somehow keep his nose in there to try and fight back against Ricciardo. But that was oh so close on the left wall. Almost got completely brake slammed by Ricciardo effectively as he moved quite late onto that racing line as I was trying to make the move on the left hand side of Bottas. But in the end, we have to wait until lap 18 then into the hairpin ourselves to make the move. This time in stark contrast to Ricciardo down the inside with a little bit of a shimmy and a lock up on the right front tire to make that move stick. And we're now in Rich Mix DRS open to pull away, and we'll try now chase after our teammate Dan Ricciardo. But you can see down the main straight didn't have enough speed pulling there before the chicane to close up to make a move on lap 20 as we move on to lap 21. So the laps have rapidly gone down in this Grand Prix then. It's flown by and still unable to make a move into turn 1 then, as a little spit of rain comes down on the left, I think that was, and you can see slowly but surely this track is looking a lot more like what it did in Q3 then, where the sheen on the surface is starting to come in. But now onto lap 22, we have a lot more momentum now to turn 1, so much so that Ricciardo goes defensive, but we now stick it to the inside then. We had a bit of hesitation in the brake zone, but last minute he decided to duck it to the inside, whereas Ricciardo kind of backed out of his defensive move to the inside of turn 1. And now into the first chicane again. We'll try and stick our nose in there just to try and off-put Ricciardo. Doesn't work out and he stays ahead, but like the move on Vettel, we're going to try and go around the outside to the inside then for the end of sector 1. Then we're going to kind of leave it to Ricciardo to kind of go wide, and we'll do the effective switchback move on him on his racing line, try and pull through. But unlike with Vettel, he doesn't lose much momentum. We have to actually wait till the next corner down the back straight to make the move side by side. Oh, so close between the left front and his right front. And oh god, yellow flag's called out at the worst time for us now, and we can't overtake him. As the moment the yellow flags came out, the safety cars now come out, the full safety car indeed. So it must have been some sort of big incident with I think that was Marcus Ericsson, but unfortunately this split second the flag got called, I was still behind Ricciardo, so I'm unable to stay ahead of him then, as we were on the verge of maybe overtaking him. So the safety car's out now. This is the time to debate what on earth we are doing. The rain is starting to come down, but what do I do? Do I gamble? Do I not? And I decide I'm going to gamble here, and I'm going to count on hopefully the rain not being strong enough that we're going to need full inters, because my logic here is that there's only one icon of rain then, and we've seen in the past, like Austria, when there's one icon of rain, there wasn't enough, there wasn't enough warrant of rain coming down for us to go onto inters. Now, if there's a dry period coming after the rain, I thought kind of double kind of, it would add up that there wouldn't be enough rain for us to come onto inters. Although, as we come on to the end of the safety car period, you can see there's a lot more rain coming down than ever did back at the Austrian Grand Prix last season. Well, they call it a gamble for a reason, so at the moment it looks like, you've got to say, with 10 laps to go, we may be a little bit screwed having to maybe go on to inters then, and we've just kind of put ourselves a little bit further back. But on the safety car restart, green flag is gone, and we are very opportunistic down the inside of Jolyon Palmer, catch him napping then as the green flags actually activate before the chicane, and so up into what will be now P6 as we just skate across the main straight, then trying to weave about to actually get some heat in our tyres, as everything's all rather cold obviously as we're going slowly round the safety car. We dive down the inside of the Force India then. I can sense he's going very slowly, Ocon then, and on the exit, although even though we have a bit of kick of oversteer, we get a much better exit than Ocon, and you can see we're just able to get a much better drive off that corner and much more better throttle control than these guys at the moment around us. Although saying that, locking up into the hairpin does not help our progress, but we're going to try and now catch up to Perez if we can. I do believe still being on the fresh super softs has helped us a little bit in these conditions, as our tyres may be that little bit fresher to maybe cope with the slippery conditions. But it looks like the way it's going, I think everyone's going to inters soon. But saying that, we have got some really good pace against these guys, so there was part of me hoping that maybe I can just see this through, maybe I can just fight it through, go through this wet period, and then eventually that dry period will come in and I'll be leading the Grand Prix. That's what my thought was at this stage of the race on that 27. As we go into the chicane, these guys come in and I actually opt to stay out. I go through the chicane and we're going to go into P1 now on the set of super softs. Meanwhile though, in the pit lane then, Vettel was leading the way from Nico Hülkenberg, but he comes in then on the intermediates and he actually managed to jump Sebastian Vettel then. So Renault, for once, they've actually done really well in the pit lane then. So it was Vettel who was actually leading under the safety car, but now Hülkenberg is back in the lead of this Grand Prix. So fantastic stuff from the Renault guys, and great stuff for Nico to be leading now from Vettel, from what will be, I think, our teammate Dan Ricciardo actually. And as much as I wanted this gamble to pay off, it just was not looking likely. On lap 28 we do come in then eventually for the intermediate tyres. So in essence, this pit stop we made earlier for super softs was kind of a bit of a dead pit stop that didn't need to be made, but you know, you got to try these things sometimes, and you know, it doesn't work out this time, but you know, on the other flip side, you know, so many times last season we would make these kind of bold calls and they worked out. You can't have every single one 100% record. You got to get them wrong sometimes to make the other ones correct and kind of feel that much better. So we come out anyway then. We're going to be just behind the Force India, I think. We're still going to be ahead of Palmer actually, and we come just just alongside, actually it'll be Sergio Perez then, and we get the traction. We actually get a straighter exit into turn 2, obviously, due to the pit lane exit, and so we go toe-to-toe with the Mexican, and we do get it down the inside, and we're going to get up into P4 immediately then. So we've got a clean bit of track, and now we'll just push as hard as we can to catch up to Daniel Ricciardo. And so that's exactly what we do, lap 28 to lap 33 then. So with 3 laps left in this Grand Prix, or 2 and a bit as we come through to the end of this lap, eventually into the hairpin, we have closed up to our 3rd place then, and we can try and get a late podium. So all in all, not too bad actually, because Ricciardo, you know, he didn't make an extra pit stop, and he's nowhere near catching Vettel or Hulkenberg. So in hindsight, actually in reality, nothing's actually changed for us. We probably would have been around here anyway with the pace of Ricciardo. So we're back up in the 3rd place then, round on the left-hand side, DRS open, and we're onto the podium once more. But I believe still Hulkenberg leads this race from Vettel in 2nd place. So that's going to be an absolute fabulous result. We do come home onto the last corner, onto the last lap, and it is Nico Hulkenberg to win a 2nd race of this season then. Obviously, he won the opening round. He's now won the Canadian Grand Prix, so it's a Renault. Renault actually the ones who continue the streak of now 3 out of 4 Canadian Grand Prix wins for the Renault F1 team then. And quite funnily enough, actually, myself and Hulkenberg have basically finished like we did last season, but just swapped round. Remember, I won this race in the Renault last season, and Hulkenberg in the same Renault came in 3rd place. Now, I've changed teams, and we've swapped round positions 1st and 3rd, so that's quite funny, actually, the way it comes round in full circles. And once again, this dynamic, you can see Hulkenberg, Vettel, and myself, the 3 main guys in the championship at the moment, on the top step of the podiums at Canada. Great stuff. Just as it kind of was in quali, kind of finished like that in the race then. Obviously switched around a little bit from Vettel on pole, myself 2nd, and Nico in 3rd. It kind of switched around, but still the same 3 guys remain on the top. So it's looking like, you know, obviously maybe early days with only 7 rounds gone, but, you know, it's looking like us 3 are going to be the 3 guys that are fighting for this World Championship. You can see the likes of Kimi and Ricciardo still in that potentially if they pull up their socks a little bit, but you can see in the Drivers' Championship, even though we haven't won a race yet and we've not won the Canadian Grand Prix, which looked like maybe a slam dunk for us from the previous records, we're still leading the Drivers' Championship, so I really can't complain. Consistency has been the key this season so far, and you know, I'm still leading. So there you go. Hulkenberg is in 2nd place, Vettel in 3rd still, and so all things are going well. And even better for the constructors, we're actually leading Red Bull Racing into 1st place at the constructors, with Ricciardo obviously coming 4th and myself in 3rd, and obviously with the 2 double podium finishes in the last 2 rounds. All good stuff. So guys, if you have enjoyed that episode, smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Ava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.